My inheritance from my father is continuously calculated in the previous child support orders, which not accurate. It appears that Karen Sanchez has imputed Joanne's income to minimum wage when she makes considerably more than that.
However she imputed it was on her. Mr. Rue inherited a $300,000 home about a year and a half ago. That was fully paid off. Child support was initially computed. His inheritance was not included. I feel he doesn't have the same drive or motivation to work that $50,000 a year job that he could get.
Do you agree with Mr. Rue that you were imputed down? This is Michael Rue versus Joanne Rue. It's the date and time set for a hearing on plaintiff's objection to uniform child support order modification. Both parties have appeared today via Zoom, there being no objection. And Mr. Rue, this is your objection, so you'll give your presentation first. And did you want to start with your own testimony today?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and swear you in. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You can lower your hand and I'll be right with you.
Alrighty.
Okay, Mr. Rue, you just kind of explain the basis for your objection and provide any testimony that you would like in support of that.
Okay. So I'm here because of my objection to the modified order for child support, which is Exhibit A I've sent in. In the associated report, Exhibit B, prepared by Mrs. Karen Sanchez. I'm requesting that the previous child support order be replaced with a new order that more directly reflects our incomes. It appears that Karen Sanchez has imputed Joanne's income to minimum wage when she makes considerably more than that. Childcare can be provided at my house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, free of charge to the both of us if need be. Karen Sanchez has stated several times that neither of us have a mental or a physical disability that prevents us from working full time, which the child care provider here can, allow us to work whenever needed be. Also, my inheritance from my father is continuously calculated in the previous child support orders, which, from my understanding on the child support manual, is not accurate. It refers to gifts and such, and it's not considered income in any other taxing or anything like that. So my calculator is ran at both of our hourly wages at 35 hours a week, which lowers the support to, I think, 194 a month. And I think that better reflects both of our incomes. So I think with my exhibits I've submitted, I kind of touch on all that there. So I think that's pretty much all I have to
Okay.
add at this time.
Ms. Rue, did you get a copy of those exhibits?
I did.
Okay. Did you have any questions for Mr. Rue about the exhibits or about any of his testimony?
Not necessarily questions, no.
Okay. So I guess Mr. Rue, as far as Ms. Rue is concerned, so I mean, how much well, I guess my question is, how do you know how much she's earning right now?
I filed it's not quite a Freedom of Information Act with the friend of the court. They believe it called it something different, but I submitted that and got the requested documents through the friend of the court at the courthouse there. I got pay stubs, tax documents, that kind of thing.
And those documents reflected income in excess of what Ms. Rue was imputed at?
Yeah, she makes $17.76 an hour. And Karen Sanchez imputed her to minimum wage, I believe, based on the fact that she's claiming she can't work 40 hours a week. Which, shouldn't be a problem for either of us, the ability to provide childcare here. In my understanding,
Go ahead.
sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry. My understanding, according to the child support manual, that both imputed and potential income is to raise an income to a more equal level. But in this case, it seems like it's being used to lower her income. And I cite specifically 2.1G 4A 4 and A and C.
2.01G for A and C.
Yep.
Okay. So, based on your review of the documents, how much is Miss Rue actually working right now, or based on maybe what she's told you?
I mean, looking at her paycheck stubs, she ranges anywhere from 20 some hours a week to 35 hours a week. Which we both work in a service industry, which is understandable. I sometimes get less than 40 hours a week. That's why I just average out the calculator to 35 hours a week. Seemed like a fair number because in the summer my hours will go up, and I assume tourist business would increase her hours as well.
Okay. Okay, and then was there any additional information that you wanted the court to have regarding the inheritance or about its treatment for purposes of child support?
Well, I do have an inheritance from my father that's it's dispersed monthly by a trustee, but I have no control over that money. It can be stopped at any time. So with that possibility, if I ever do have that removed, I won't be able to afford the $400 a month that they're charging me right now. I have zero control over it. I really have no other information other than I get a monthly payment from the trustee. But it's definitely inheritance, not a gift or income as far as everything else is concerned, as far as taxes or anything like that. And I'm not trying to not pay child support. I'm trying to pay amount that reflects, our income. Aside from that, I can provide, or I do provide, anything my daughter needs, boots, whatever, stuff like that. I help pay for anything that really she needs ever. So, but if that is stopped, then I can't afford the amount they're charging me right now.
Other than the inheritance, did you think that the friend of the court got it right for your income as far as what you earned from your employment?
Yeah, I believe so. I think Karen Sanchez had me at like 40,000, which is my $22 an hour at roughly 35, 40 hours a week, and I have no problem with that. But when her income is imputed at the lowest amount possible, it creates a larger gap. When I am under the understanding that it's always supposed to try to bring the incomes closer together rather than further apart. Right. And taking into account overnights and that, it's essentially Joanne has her one more day a week than me overnight. So it's not like I'm not present or providing a place for her to be, on my days of the week.
So you was the overnights used by the friend of the court appropriate in your mind?
Yeah, that's the current agreement or order. And I had no problem with any of that. It's basically just the incomes were the area in question, in my opinion. And then Karen Sanchez has never requested any kind of documentation on the trust. It's basically just word of mouth at this point. And I mean, I do have a copy of the trust, but I didn't submit it as any kind of evidence because I don't feel that it's income. So that's, I guess, where I'm at with that.
And then
it's whoops, sorry.
You mentioned about the childcare issue. So do you have a right of first refusal in your custody order at all?
That I do not know.
Okay.
I would assume so, but I am not 100% certain on that.
And you said that you can provide childcare for free, but what if you're both working at the same time?
Well, my fiance stays home with my younger daughter, Charlie's half sister. So somebody is here at the house all the time, whether it be my day off or she's here. And she will be here with Charlie sometimes when I'm at work now. So I don't see why that would be raise an issue.
So you're, just want to be clear, so you're under oath offering Miss Rue free childcare.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Anything else at this point, Mr. Rue?
I do have the copy of a text message from Joanne as well that indicates this is previous to the original, the modified child support order being put in place, where she contacted me with her thoughts that the child support was going to be reduced. And so I just like you'd consider that too, that she's well aware that could have been a possibility. And I feel it would have been if our incomes were put in at a more accurate amount.
Okay, Ms. Rue, we'll move on to your presentation. So I'll go ahead and swear you in. If you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Lower your hand. All right. So did you want to just start off with any particular response to Mr. Rue's arguments?
Sure. So honestly, I mean, fighting over money is not something that I prefer to do. The only reason I'm here is because it's for my daughter and my daughter only. In regards to some of his objections, the one thing I will say is that I did turn everything in to Ms. Sanchez. And so however she imputed it was on her. I do feel like she probably imputed my income as I'm sorry, oh my gosh.
That's okay. Take your time. So you're saying that she imputed your she imputed your income at monthly gross income of $1,757 a month. I mean, it's basically full-time minimum wage. Was that what you were?
Yes, yeah, and I believe that it was imputed that way because, as Mr. Rue said, I work in the hospitality industry. So my hours do get cut often. It's not because I don't have the availability. It's because the resort they have a budget and they can't put as many people on. So I do fight and argue for hours, but sometimes they're cut, and I can't do much about it. Even this week, I was cut down to 3 days. I ended up picking up Friday. So it's not for lack of childcare or wanting to work. In cases where I need childcare, I typically send my daughter on a play date. Or my parents will come and visit and hang with her while I'm at work. In regards to the text message, so that text message was sent at a time where I was feeling very stressed and very concerned because I had just received a letter from DHS saying that my health insurance, I was no longer qualified for my health insurance. That turned out to be a glitch in the system. So at that point, I just wanted to express, like, when I said, apparently I make too much money, I was feeling that way because of that situation. I had also found out that my food help was reduced to $23. So I was just very concerned. And the only thing I cared about really was making sure that my daughter was able to do her extracurricular activities. He's never helped me with that before. And so that's why I sent that. In regards to in regards to his offer for childcare if I did need it. This also adds a 2-hour commute on me. So he lives 20 minutes away from me, and then to get to my work would be another 45 minutes, and then to do the same thing going back. So it's a lot on a vehicle, which I don't even have my own vehicle right now. I'm borrowing one, and it's also a lot on gas. So I don't think that's really conducive. But again, I don't really need it because I'm available full time and I do have friends and family that will help. Regarding the inheritance, from what I'm getting from 205C is that income may include the value of gifts or gratuities, including money, food, shelter, and transportation that a parent receives from relatives other than a spouse, friends, and others, to the extent that it significantly and regularly reduces expenses or replaces or supplements employment income. So one, Mr. Rue inherited a $300,000 home about a year and a half ago that was fully paid off. That reduces significantly his expenses. In addition, when child support was initially computed, his inheritance was not included. It was, I don't know if it was intentionally withheld or just not something that was brought up, but it was not included in the first 3 years. So in the first 3 years, his income was computed at around $50,000 a year. Now his income is, from what I'm gathering on his paychecks, around $30,000. So therefore, he's using that inheritance money as a supplement to his income. He's using this to take care of our daughter. He's using this to take care of his other family members. And he's using this on a daily basis. So it's not like it's something that is just sitting in a bank. As far as control over that, his family, I don't believe, is going to cut him off. And if they did, I would be more than happy to go back and refigure things. I don't want him struggling. That's not my intention. My intention is for my daughter to be provided with everything she needs. And sometimes I can't give her everything she needs on my own. Let's see. It also states that it generally does not count. It doesn't mean that it always doesn't count. So I just think that with it being a monthly income, it should apply towards the child support. It doesn't make sense not to. And I mean, I think I've addressed all of his objections. I did notice too, as he said, that he's only working part-time. So again, this money is supplementing his income to provide for his family. He's able to still survive with or without income.
And I thought, so, and you're inferring that Mr. Rue is working part-time because of the decrease in his income from the prior child support calculation, you know, based on the fact that under the prior support calculation, the inheritance wasn't included, but yet there was a higher amount of income. Is that kind of the
Correct.
argument? Okay.
Correct. He doesn't have to, he's quit many jobs and not worked for months at a time. And he's been okay because he doesn't have a house payment or a car payment, and he's still getting that, you know, amount of money a month. So he doesn't have, I feel he doesn't have the same drive or motivation to work that $50,000 a year job that he could get. I personally have been slowly making making moves in regards to my daughter and myself. I went from living with my parents to renting a single room to now living in a 2-bedroom home. I am working towards making more money, and that's all I can do. I'm doing the very best I can right now.
Okay, and then as far as the extracurricular activities that you were referring to, could you just kind of are there any, or describe what they are and what the expenses for those are?
She's actually starting that this Saturday. It is $260. Fortunately, the dance studio allows me to pay weekly. I've asked Mike for help with that. He did buy her a leotard and tights, which was nice. But other than that, there was no help. And then she is starting Taekwondo on Saturday as well, which is $75 a month. I did also have her in therapy where I was paying out of pocket, and I did not go to him. I asked him to help, but he did not, because he said that that's what child support was for.
Well, the child support order also includes a provision regarding out-of-pocket healthcare costs that are beyond the annual ordinary medical amount. So
Sure, as I said, I'm just not comfortable with fighting over things, so I just took care of it.
Okay. And then you indicated that this week you got cut to 3 days. Was that just something, is it different each week, or how does that work?
Yeah. Some weeks I'll work 35 hours. Some weeks I'll work 24. I've never worked less than 24 unless there was illness or, some kind of issue, but I'm guaranteed 24. I also did not realize that I was considered part-time until recently. When I had first gotten the job, I was part-time, and then I guess we never switched it to full-time. So that is something I'm also addressing.
And how long have you been with that employer?
4 years. I do have a letter from my employer, but unfortunately I missed the deadline. I couldn't get a notary in time. I'm not sure if it's appropriate to read or not, but I do have one.
Okay. And what would the letter address?
He basically states that this is something that every one of us deals with, all of my coworkers as well. Sometimes we work 35, 40 hours a week, and sometimes we work 20. It just depends on the occupancy of the resort. He stated that I am, in a place in a position for management, which is why I stay, because they're extremely supportive of me being a single mom. If my daughter is sick, I don't have to worry about calling out. But I also see a career in it. They've offered me management roles, but unfortunately for a management role, you have to be available from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And while even with free childcare, I don't think that's fair to my daughter.
Do you ever work more than 35 hours a week during the busy season?
Yeah.
And when is the busy season? Or how many months long is the busy season, I guess?
Yeah, it probably starts February or March for us, and then all the way through October. With the summer, I do only work 4 days, but I do work at least 1 10-hour day so that I can make sure that I get enough hours. So it actually usually takes me to 24, not 35, but I do at least get 34 to 40 hours a week, just depending on the situation.
Are there any management roles that would have daytime hours available for the position?
Yeah. That's what I work are the daytime hours, but unfortunately to become a supervisor or manager, you have to be available 24/7 to be able to pick up those 11 to 7 shifts. That's one of the stipulations for it.
And would that be a common occurrence, or would that just be kind of a random situation where that would come up?
I mean, anytime somebody calls in, you have to cover it.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Rue?
No, I mean, just really what it boils down to is that every dime of his help goes to my daughter. I don't do anything really for myself. It's her and her only. She is my main focus in life. And this just truly helps. And if there's a day that comes where I don't need it, then and she doesn't need it, then I'm more than happy to look back and reduce it, you know, or geez, I hope one day I make more money than him and be able to make it go away. But right now we need it. There's just not much else I can say.
Mr. Rue argued that you actually earn more than 1,000. That on average, I think he's arguing that on average that you earn actually more than $1,757 a month. So, I mean, is that true? Would your documentation that you
I mean,
submitted reflect that?
DHS computed it as that as well. So I think that's pretty close to accurate. But again, yeah, sometimes I can make more, and I did I got a raise. I mean, I've gotten several raises, so he's correct in that. And you know, I worked hard. I've stayed at the same job for 4 years, and that's what happens when you do that.
So, I mean, so then do you agree with Mr. Rue that you were imputed down?
No, I don't think that I was imputed down because of I think the reason that I was imputed down is because of my, like if you average my hours for the year, it still shows up as, not unemployment, what was the word?
Part-time?
As, hold on one second.
I submitted both our tax returns, which show the yearly income for 2022.
Are those in your exhibit A or B?
Yes, they are
Okay.
exhibit
Okay, that's fine. I will look at those. Okay.
so it actually shows me at I may earn $2,000 more than her that year, which
All right.
you know, if her income is being imputed at the minimum wage and my actual income is only 2,000 more than hers, I don't really understand why mine isn't imputed to that level as well. You know what I mean? It's my job varies too, and mine is the income that Karen Sanchez inputted is mine based at full-time hours, which I don't always work full-time hours either. So I think that our income is actually closer than actual income is closer than what Karen Sanchez has imputed for both of us, really.
Okay, so you're saying that you were also imputed.
Yes, it doesn't say that in words in Karen Sanchez's report. But if you look at my actual tax documentation, I've only earned 23,000 last year, and she has me at 40,000 hourly or annually. But no explanation as to why I'm imputed at that. I can work full time because I'm not physically or mentally incapable, but she's the same way. Karen Sanchez says that in there, but then imputed her income to the minimum level.
Okay.
Am I allowed to speak?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I believe that it was imputed at minimum wage because my total income for the year ends up looking like minimum wage. Now for Mr. Rue, his is lower because he quit. He's been through 8 jobs in 2 years and takes months off at a time.
That's not true, sir. and I don't know where she's basing that on. I work in a service industry. My last job closed. COVID had a big factor into a lot of that. I have no documentation from Joanne about anything. She didn't submit any documents, so I don't know what she's basing any of this kind of stuff on.
Okay, all right, I think I understand, both of your positions. Was there any other, information that you wanted to cover, from your perspective, Ms. Rue?
I mean, I don't believe so. I mean, I just, whatever happens, happens, I suppose. And we'll make it work either way.
Mr. Rue, was there any other information that you wanted to cover, or have you basically, between your exhibits and what you've testified to, have you provided all the information that you needed to do today?
I mean, I think I presented everything I have, but I would like to object to a few things that she said. As far as she gets a state aid on her apartment, food assistance, or it's an income-based apartment. So that helps her out there. I don't really understand the relevance of an inherited house, which I was ladybird deeded to me, but I basically purchased the house on land contract for the last 12, however years I've lived here from my mother. And then when she passed, it was deeded to me, which I still, I mean, you own a house, I'm sure. There's countless repairs and upkeep and taxes and things that go along with that. I don't really understand the relevance in her throwing that in there. All my calculations are based on strictly fact and not he said, she said. I mean, you have the tax return numbers right there. So I guess that I don't feel that that should be a factor in anything. And as far as providing stuff for my daughter, I mean, I bought her leotards and all that kind of things. I have her in Girl Scouts over here. Until recently, she just stopped doing that. So I do provide her extracurricular stuff, or anything she needs aside from, what is purchased over there, or kind of, if she needs new clothes, I get her new clothes, boots, snowsuit, whatever.
Okay, thank you. I will take this under advisement. I'll issue a written referee recommendation in order, submit it to the assigned judge to be signed, served on each of you. Either of you can file an objection and have a de novo hearing, which is basically an original hearing in front of the assigned judge, provided you file your objection within 21 days. And you'll be getting my recommendation shortly, by either mail or email. That will conclude our hearing. Thank you.